All right, good morning, everybody, and thank you for attending the monthly huddle. We are going to go ahead and get this meeting started. My name is Ashley, and I'm the Human Resource Generalist here in Missoula, Montana, and I will be your host for today's meeting. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on over to the agenda. We will be going over for Champion Change will be Adrian. She'll be talking about navigating through difficult change. Always doing the right thing. We will have Mark. He will be going over Ergonomics 101. For Together We Win, we'll go over Life After the Audit by Brian. Team Wins is Megan Canton, and Cultural Highlights, we will be watching a short little video on how Daily celebrates diversity. As far as People First, Madeline will be going over a benefits focus and learning campaign. Recognition program updates will be done by Jacqueline and Tamara. Upcoming events will be done by Brantley, and then we will hear the final thoughts by Joe. All right, so we're going to move into our first survey. Would you rather? Would you rather smell like bacon for a week or have everything you touch turn into bacon for a day? We'll go ahead and have the polls pop on up, and you can choose either one or two. We'll give that a couple minutes. All right, it looks like the majority, 61% of people would like to smell like bacon for a week rather than having everything you touch turn into bacon for a day. That would be a lot of bacon. All right, so we are going to go ahead and move on over to Champion Change. Champion Change will be done by Adrian Holiday.
All right, thank you. So let's talk about championing change. I don't know about you, but I like to think of myself as someone who enjoys change, who is good at change, and as an early adopter of change. So we have here our chart for change. And there are various different stages of changes. So there are 5 categories of adopters of change. There are innovators. These would be our Elon Musks or our Edisons, right? Those who are visionaries, our early adopters, our early majority, our later majority, and our laggards who tend to be a little later to adopt change. So if you want to just think about yourself for a minute, where do you think you typically are when it comes to adopting change? And it may not be the same every time. But if you were to place yourself, no need to confess, where do you think you usually are when it comes to adopting change? Now, I'd like to think of myself as an early adopter, if not, maybe occasionally an innovator on a small scale. But as we move on to the next slide, there are some situations, I think, for all of us that this is not the case. So if we think back to 2020, all of us faced a situation in which we were forced to adopt some change, right? So as we faced COVID, here is a situation in which all of us had change that was not welcome, right? It was very uncertain. None of us welcomed it, wanted to be early adopters. We displayed some strange behaviors. Now, why was this change unwelcome for all? Number one, it was not a good situation. It was very uncertain. I think to myself back to the early days, March, April, May of 2020. Very uncertain situation. We didn't know how it was going to go. Many people were not working. Those of us in the bacon business were, right? But a lot of uncertainty, very sudden change. So there's a big emotional roller coaster that goes along with change. And we were all on it together at that time. None of us welcome change in any form. All of us were resistant to it. We tried to work together and be gung-ho about wearing masks and making masks and all of those things, but we were all on the same emotional roller coaster together regarding this change. Now, on a much smaller scale, Salt Lake City experienced some change this spring that I think we felt very much the same about. So we had some situations here. We had some missing team members that made this spring very challenging for us. In addition, we had an SQF score that had dropped 22 points. And that was also not a welcome change for us. And finally, this is how we felt, right? I think that we could all say we were feeling a little bit bruised. And while we wanted to display our packed values and be welcoming of change and be these change champions, it's kind of hard when you are feeling all of those emotions. And so while we wanted to pull together and do all of those things, it's important to remember that we all go through the same emotional values with change, and that we need to go through and feel all of those things. So sometimes when change comes for us, it's easy as leaders of change to say, hey, we're championing change. Here it is. Here are all the rational reasons for it. We're going to do this together. It's going to be great. But we need to remember that there is an emotional roller coaster that we go through with change, and to allow our people to feel it and to support them through it. So let's talk about these emotions that go along with change. John, if you could move to the next slide. Sometimes we don't want to move until we're forced to. Okay, so it's easy to be complacent. It's easy to continue on as we are. As Simon Sinek says very well, you know, if the answer is, do you want to change? Do you need to change? If the answer is no, then that's probably not a healthy answer. So we need to stay right where we are. If we need to stay right where we are and we think we're good there, it's probably not the healthiest answer, and we may need to take a look at ourselves. So if you're feeling comfortable and perfect, maybe take a look inside. So moving on to that next emotional roller coaster for change. All right. So emotion and change, the less warning and the more uncertainty we have around a change, the greater shock and resistance we will have. So for those of us, again, who are anticipating change, who are planning for the change, we will be more prepared for that. And the more communication we can have around that for people, the easier we can make this curve. So think about this as we approached COVID. And for those of us in Salt Lake, think about this as we experience that shock with our SQF audit, as we experience these changes that we went through this spring. And so shock. We got our audit scores. We had these changes within our structure, our leadership. We went through denial. I can certainly see some of these stages where we went through, it's not fair. This can't be right. There are these different reasons. Frustration. We were upset. We were angry. How could this possibly have changed? 98 to 77 within 1 year. It was the same auditor. We were demoralized. It was certainly a moment of introspection as a team, of feeling kind of hopeless for a minute, and then moving forward together, finding different ways to resolve things, moving together. And I'm so grateful for our leadership that helped us pull together. Brett and Brian and Sean really helped us come together in new ways, and we'll talk a little bit about what we learned here as well. And then integration. This is something that really had to happen quickly. When you have that many corrective actions and you have, less than 30 days to get those done, it really had to be a team effort. And a lot of changes to happen quickly. We were without a sanitation manager. We were without a regular quality manager. We had Sean filling in and trying to do those things. We were down a production manager and suffered the loss of one of our production managers during that time. So we had a lot of emotion and a lot of challenges going on. And pulling the team together during that time really was hard for us. But let's talk about what we learned. So just like during COVID, we did have some changes, and some of those were positive. Does anyone wash their hands the same way? Or when they're sick, think about things the same way? I don't think so. I don't know even a single child who doesn't think about washing their hands the same way as they did before. Next, remote work. I think we're all a lot more comfortable with this. Look at us having a remote meeting right now, spread across the whole company. We meet more comfortably remote wise. Many people work from home. We're much more comfortable with teleworking and meeting remotely than we were prior to the pandemic. And then finally, hobbies and life outside of work. If we were lucky, we didn't lose people close to us during COVID, but many of us had the chance to pause, to look at life outside of work, to slow down a little bit, and to value things around us. So COVID did have some positive changes for us, as we moved through that process. And then for Salt Lake City, how this spring has changed us. First, we are no longer complacent. Okay. I think that it was easy to look on previous successes when you've had a year at 98 or several years in the 90s at audits. It's easy to think that you can coast and that you don't have to take a hard look at every single process every year and your programs. And so now we dig into everything tooth and nail, and we examine very closely, and we will continue to do that. You could say we are paranoid. Just like Rocky, when he was beat up, we have our workout program in place, right? You could say we figuratively have Eye of the Tiger playing in the background, right? We are pumped and moving forward together, and we are energized to go. So back on that curve upward, we are putting in the work. It's every day. It's doing the reps. It's all of those things, and we're not letting any of that slack. And then finally, this was the biggest thing for us. It was a heavy team lift. We did certainly have some outstanding team members that were doing great things, and really doing beyond their part, as we answered this. Our maintenance team was outstanding. I know that many members of our production team, and Brian and Sean, I don't know that they took any days off for many days as we answered that audit. But it was a heavy team lift, and it took everyone stepping outside of their regular job roles in order to answer that. But we were able to get it done, and we learned a lot, and we came together as a team. So those were all the learnings that we had that came out of that audit, and we made it through that emotional curve, and I think we came out stronger for it. So I want to point out that even as we champion change, it's important to acknowledge that change is not always comfortable. It's important as we lead our team members through it that we acknowledge that change is not easy, and that we lead through those emotions, and we guide through those emotions, and we have those conversations as leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrienne, for that insight on navigating change. Okay, so moving on, we have another survey. So would you rather pause time or rewind time? And we'll go ahead and bring up the polls and you can choose what you'd rather do. All right, so it looks like 36% would rather pause time and 63 for the win would rather rewind time. All right, so we're going to move on to our next presenter. We have Mark, who will be going over Ergonomics 101.
All right. Thank you, Ashley. Good morning. I feel like I'm always an early adapter for change. So change is always good. Is where I'd stand. Good information. What we're going to talk about today is Ergonomics 101. I just want to go over some basics of ergonomics. We'll go to the next slide. Everyone has their own thought process on what they think ergonomics is or should be. I want to just let you know what the scientific definition is. Ergonomics is the scientific discipline that focuses on designing and arranging workplaces, products, and systems to fit the people that use them. So we want to look at what is the goal of ergonomics. Basically, it's making the job fit the person. Go ahead with next slide. First, we want to talk about the golden zone. It is the area nearest to the core of your body between the shoulders and the knees. It's that golden zone to where you can move efficiently. Lifting a 5-pound box up and away from the body has the effect of lifting 5 pounds, but lifting a 5-pound away has the effect of lifting 12 pounds on your shoulder. The picture next to it concerning the danger zone, I just want to emphasize that if you have 50 pounds in your golden zone against your body, the further out you go with your reach, the less pounds you can or are able to manage at the same height. So we want to keep our position or task that we're doing closest to the body as we can. Next slide. We also want to make sure to use our legs to lift while keeping our back straight. You always want to, your mom, dad has always told you to bend down, use your legs to lift, bend your knees. So we want to keep our back straight. We want to make sure we're using our feet, not our back or our waist. You don't want to twist. Remember to avoid twisting and not overextending when reaching for a belly. Next slide. Workplace comfort. Being comfortable while working is a great way to promote ergonomics. Make adjustments, if possible, to suit your needs. A few things to keep in mind are the box shoe height, as an example, and a stool placement in the box lap for the packaging, as you can see in the picture. It's more for the comfort. For all departments, you can try using different tools like hooks to see if another style or length of hook helps you and are located. You want to locate those hooks within your clapping zone to reach them. When laying bellies on the table for the press, keep the height of the bellies at a level that's comfortable to move them. Generally, if you look at the picture where the bellies are, generally one approach would be to, we all have our different height variations, and with the height of the belly, You want to, where your elbow sits next to your body folded, you want to keep the bellies about that height, just so that you can have a vertical stretch with the belly. So remember, work smarter, not harder. Next slide. If you work frequently with bad posture or ergonomics, you could seriously hurt yourself. Some examples are swollen hands and wrists, shoulder pain, sore back, hips, and knees, fatigue, accidents, missing work, and even doctor visits. So I want to just say, remember to take 5. Think about what you're doing. It only takes it could take 10 to 20 seconds to take 5 and assess what you're doing, and do what's right for your body. Your body depends on it. Thank you. That's all I had.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate that. Let's see. Okay, we're going to get into our next survey question. Would you rather fight one pig-sized strip of bacon or fight 100 bacon-sized pigs? Right, it looks like for the win, we have 60% say they would rather 100 bacon-sized pigs. That's awesome. All right, so we're going to move to the next slide. Next, we have Life After the Audit by Brian Tillotson.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, you actually pronounced the name correctly. A moment ago when you skipped my last name, I thought, she didn't know how to say it. But anyway, good job on that. And thanks, Adrian, for setting up a few of the things earlier. I'll be kind of talking about what says life after the audit, but it was after they came and kind of punched us in the face, like the Rocky thing, and kind of how we navigated those waters and things. That's kind of what I'm going to be talking about here today, and that process. So you heard the score, which wasn't good. It wasn't very pleasant. Came out of that audit, there were 44 items that we needed to resolve in 30 days. And if we didn't get those resolved, it was a problem. Yeah, thanks for forwarding that to me. The next one there, John, I forgot to say that. Yeah, we had our audit results on 4/23, did not go well. And we had 4 till 5/25 to not only resolve issues, but we had to create root causes for all of them, submit responses, and have each of those responses approved, which we didn't know how that would go. Definitely a major task that would involve an entire team, not just one person. Next slide, please. So we really came together to kind of divide and conquer. And we knew that we had to have everyone involved in order to make this a success. Sean, as the interim FSQA manager, did an excellent job doing kind of multiple roles, but we knew that it couldn't just be dumped on his shoulder and said, we'll leave it up to Sean. So instead of just doing that and putting all the pressure on him, we created a project team that had representatives from every area of the facility, because we knew it, once again, it'd be a team effort. And we had Brett, our plant manager. His role was mainly setting the tone and priorities, and then providing resources, and mainly just supporting the team so we could be successful. And we had Sean doing all the technical support, and Greg as the maintenance manager, ensuring the facilities improvements got completed. And of course, there was a lot of other people involved, but like I said, we needed everyone to help out. We even got some outside support. We had Aaron Bauer, FSQA director now, and Sydney Cunningham, the VP of Enterprise. We heard they were going to come out and help. And when I heard that, I thought of the Ronald Reagan quote. He says the 9 most feared words we can hear is, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." It's like, oh, great. We got corporate people coming in. They're going to take over and not really help, but we need help. And they didn't do that. They didn't come in and kind of say, yeah, my way, the highway. They weren't bossy. They came in and helped us understand the situation and provided great suggestions, and not bossy at all. And that was really awesome. In fact, they would attend our team meetings that we had, and they'd listen remotely and provide a couple comments here and there. But they basically trusted us and let us manage it and lead it to success. Next slide, please. So it took a lot of organization. I'm not expecting you to read those. This is just one of the documents that we use. So we had, as I said, 44 of those items we had to get resolved. And it wasn't just simply a matter of doing it. There was a lot of steps in the process that we had to do. And so we had to find ways to make it so everyone had visibility to it. So we put this document on a SharePoint site that everybody could participate in, make changes, updates and stuff. And part of that, we need to make sure there were basically no secrets. We had to ensure that everybody saw where we were. Here's something interesting too, is that if somebody needed support, they didn't just accept help, they went out and asked for it. And that was awesome as well. And the interesting thing on this one as well is that we had a lot of different owners for things that were out of their normal roles. I mean, we had Casey Barnum, our safety manager, was involved in helping create some documents and things, which is not his area. Tina Williams, our training manager, doing the same thing, involved in some of the sanitation process. Lisa Jarvis and Colby Reese, and the list goes on of people that normally don't get involved in these audit issues were right there, not only participating, but leading and getting things accomplished, and did an excellent job. Next slide, please. So I said it took a lot of collaboration. Some of the issues we saw, we'd never even, some of us didn't know what they were, so we had to learn quickly. So we had to pull together and do a lot of researching. One of the things we had to do was make sure we looked at the root causes. So it wasn't simply a matter of, oh, we'll just go and fix that one issue and kind of wash our hands of it for another year. We looked at what was causing that in the first place and took steps to make sure that those never happened again. So I think we learned a lot through that part. We also focused on issues, not people. There were some disagreements, and I said, but no fights. And one of our engineering managers said, yeah, that you saw. Well, okay, so maybe there was some, but I never witnessed any, and I thought everybody did a great job coming together. Next slide, please. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention is that 3 weeks after the initial audit is when we got the official audit. So for some parts of it, we were kind of flying blind. We weren't sure exactly what was going to be on the final one, if there's going to be any tweaking or anything that we had to make adjustments to. And with that, we only had basically a week to get everything pulled together, finalized rather, and submitted. And that was really stressful. I mean, I would put a lot of pressure on Sean because he was our funnel point to make sure that everything was getting in there correctly. And we toss it in and we sit back and wait for an approval. And I got to admit that was pretty stressful. But thanks to that team and everybody's help, none of them were rejected, and everything was approved on time. So I thought that was great. Like I said, that was a pretty stressful month, especially that last week where we submitted stuff and we could have stuff rejected and say, oh, no, that's not what you need. But through that, once again, that team effort and everybody helping out, we were able to succeed on that. One of the things we came out of that to help make sure that we don't slip back is we put together an auditing process that, and this was Brett's idea, is that the managers should get more involved going forward. So on a monthly basis, the managers from all areas are going to be out and on the floor and get more involved in understanding some of the issues that are going on the floor. So I thought that was a great idea. Next slide. So that was our whole process, start to finish. I know I didn't go into the too details on the process, but I just wanted to basically express how the team really pulled together to accomplish that big challenge we had. And at the end of basically our last project team meeting, I was basically saying, "All right, thanks everybody," and ready to stand up. And Michael DeRosa says, "Wait a minute. I think it'd be a good idea if we went around the room and talked about everything that we learned." And so each of us had a chance to talk about, all the positive things that they learned through this process. And when they got to me, I told Michael I didn't learn anything. And yeah, there was a little stunned silence and everybody looking at me. And here's some of the things that I didn't learn. I didn't learn there are people willing to step in and help, because I already knew that. I also didn't learn when we work as a team, we can accomplish great things, because I already knew that. I didn't learn that we have very smart people and talented people, because I already knew that. I didn't learn we want to do what's best for the company, because I already knew that. And I also didn't learn, finally, that our team puts people first and always, because I already knew that. Thank you. That's what I got today.
That's great. Thank you so much, Brian. All right, next we have Team Wins by Megan Canton.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. I have the privilege of announcing the amazing things our teams are up to currently. So moving to our first team, we've got Missoula, our PM Press team. So Missoula would like to recognize and applaud their PM Press team for the remarkable resilience and focus they have shown. Change is never easy, but not only did they maintain momentum, they have elevated it. The team continues to show their determination, collaboration, and commitment to excellence when being flexible and willing to help out the other departments. It's inspiring to see a team come together so strongly, and their efforts are truly making a positive impact. Thank you for setting such a powerful example of perseverance and progress, Missoula. And then next, we have our Salt Lake City maintenance team. They have just been killing it. They have been completing their work orders and audits to help reduce their total downtime. And we're just really proud of them right now. And then moving on to our St. Joseph team, the box shop team. They are trying out new processes, clearing everything out, and embracing change. And they are making it a better place to work for everyone. And that's what we have for our team highlights. Team wins.
Great, thank you, Megan. All right, so next we have a short little video on the cultural highlights on how Dailies celebrates diversity. Hopefully
At Dailies Premium Meats, we believe that our strength lies in our people and in the rich diversity that each team member brings to the table. Every background, every culture, every story adds flavor to who we are. By celebrating and honoring our differences, we create a workplace where everyone feels valued, respected, and empowered. Because just like our premium meats, the best results come from the finest variety working together in harmony.
that was such a great video. All right, so into our next poll of our survey question for would you rather use bacon flavored toothpaste or use bacon scented shampoo? All right, it looks like use bacon flavored toothpaste for the win. Yeah, I couldn't imagine using bacon scented shampoo. That's a little different. But for our next presenter, it would be for People First. We're going to hear from Madeline. She's going to go over the Benefits Focus and Learning campaign.
Hi, y'all. This is Madeline over in the corporate office. It's so nice to be virtually with you all today, and even nicer to tell you about some discounts that our benefits offer. So if you'd go to the next slide, you'll see the cutest little Chat GPT piggy bank ever. And I hope this image sticks with you as we talk about all the ways you can maybe add some coins to your own piggy banks by using some of these discounts. So first and foremost, on the next slide, we will talk about some items that you can get for a lower price via our medical insurance. So first and foremost, this Blue 365 is available to those who use Blue Cross Blue Shield. So I'm only going to speak to those on our plan right now, but if maybe you have a Blue Cross plan through a spouse or second employer or anything like that, this might be eligible for you. But for those folks 18 years or older, enrolled in Daly's medical insurance, you can access these member discounts through Blue 365. Things like gym memberships are discounted on there, fitness equipment, meal kits, eyewear, hearing aids. You know, I was looking and there's about 3 or 4 gym membership discounts. So do check out the different options that you have. You know, even Club Pilates, my home after work has a gym membership discount thereafter. And, you know, meal kits like Factor, if you're into that, there's some discounts there, and LASIK too for eyewear and that sort of topic. So to access this, I encourage you guys to check out that. Oh, pardon me. Check out that link, myhealthtoolkitkc.com. Log in or register if it's your first time using that website. Go to Wellness and Care Management, member discounts, and then you'll see the Blue 365 link from there. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to chat with me or your local HR team. But moving forward, there's even more discounts that I'd love to chat with you guys about. And those are through My ADP. So this is all employees are eligible regardless of whether you have medical insurance or any other benefits through Dailies. Any employee with a My ADP access can see LifeMart. This typically is, if you're on a computer, the right-hand side, you might have to scroll. It's a blue-green logo for LifeMart. And here you'll find discounts on vacation planning. If anyone's looking at a Disney trip here shortly, there was like $60 tickets through LifeMart. Grocery and food delivery, again, if you use Factor or maybe Hungry Root or anything like that, there's discounts there. Tickets to concerts, electronics, all of that is there, including some gym membership discounts as well. So as you're looking through Blue 365, do compare it to LifeMart and make sure you're getting the best deal. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, your local HR. But I also wanted to chat about our learning campaign. If you'd go on to the next slide, actually 2 more slides, you'll see this adorable little piggy that does not know how to write the word science. But I figured that was a learning opportunity for that pig. Well, we do have a LinkedIn Learning reminder on the next slide that I wanted to shout out. On July 7th, so really soon, the required LinkedIn Learning course linked there is needing to be completed. Again, this is to stay on track with our professional development goals as a team, really leaning into the P in PACT. There's also an optional LinkedIn Learning course linked there as well that's available. And if you complete both that and the required course, that earns you a chance to win a prize. So do participate, get that learning in there right under the wire here. And don't forget, you can also download the LinkedIn Learning mobile app. So if you're on the go or you know, run into another meeting, but you have a second to learn, go ahead and either use the Google Play Store link or the Apple Store right there. And you can download the LinkedIn Learning mobile app and put it on your phone. But if anyone has questions about LinkedIn Learning or our learning campaigns, just holler at me or your local HR. Otherwise, I will happily turn it over to Jacqueline Haynes for recognition program updates.
Thanks, Maddie. Hope everybody's having a great week. We have continued to really focus in on recognition and figuring out how do we recognize the great people that we have here at Dailies. So I do want to give a quick shout out to the committee who has done a phenomenal job in kind of keeping the boats rowing, and exploring new ideas of how can we get creative, how can we make our people feel appreciated, and they've come out with amazing ideas. That's Madeline, John Stratton, Tamara Kaw, Christy, Vic, Michael DeRosa, who am I missing? Kim. I think that's the group. But it's great to have representation from all of our different locations, and it's just been fun. So if you ever have an interest in getting involved, let us know. But I thought it'd be helpful to see kind of a quick moment of time and what we're doing right now at our facilities, and then eventually show you a kind of future state here. So there's a few consistencies of what we're doing at each of our locations. So each facility has a program similar to Employee of the Month, where they're highlighting someone that really stands out, and nominations that go through the plant, and then different awards that are awarded based on that. But St. Joseph also has a Recognition One program that I know, if it hasn't already started, it is in the works right now. I'm really excited to see that come together. I know all of our facilities do leadership meeting shout outs, which I think is great. And just making sure we get that back to the people, sometimes that's the piece that holds it up. So continuing to focus in there. And then of course we have our app space, which are our TVs around our facilities. And we do different recognitions, whether it's milestones, anniversaries, birthdays, etc. We do try to do that as well. Salt Lake City does still have the Bacon Bucks program that I know they've used for a number of years. They also have kind of brought in and out this Limeade program, which I think is really fantastic too, where they recognize behaviors that they like to see. And when they're seeing that behavior, they get recognized for that, and then they get to pick from a slew of awards, which is pretty cool. And then Missoula, they also still have their GRIT program, and then they have a couple cool things that I'll actually show you on the next slide here, of how they've progressed their Employee of the Month recognition too. So before I get to the next slide, I want to mention that not only do we want to keep kind of what's going, and working well at our facilities, but how do we also create kind of a standard approach in some ways to our recognition? So if you'll go to the next slide, please. You'll see that we've got a few things in the works here. And these are, again, things that maybe are already in existence or in the process of being stood up. But this actually came from Joe Richmond. He sent us a really cool idea, and it came from another company that did this pact, or kind of their values plaque, which would allow quarterly recognition for individuals and teams at each location. So we can really tie back into our pact values, which again is centered around all of the things that we're doing here at Dailies. And so we will be standing that up in the coming months, and looking forward to that. Celebration form. So I think it's linked out here, but if it's not, we'll make sure to get that communicated more broadly. But we recognize too that there's a lot of life milestones, whether many of them are happy and some of them are challenging times for families. And so Madeline did a great job of creating a form that can be submitted on people's behalf to help us recognize some of those big milestone moments. So again, we're in the process of getting that standardized and pushed out. But again, that does allow us to create some consistency there. One thing that we've thrown around is we have a lot of new babies here at Dailies. And I know a lot of companies have taken time in the past, or companies I've worked for, to recognize that too. So we've talked into some books, childhood books that we may be able to partner with that actually focus on the whole process of the pigs, and kind of an educational moment too. They even call out our Seaboard counterpart, which is pretty cool. So we're in talks with those companies as well. Plant-specific recognition. We also recognize, right, that our committees, we want to create a program and a recognition that's unique to each plant's culture. So we will continue to do that. that. Our committee members will help to drive those efforts. You can see on the left-hand side that really cool wheel. So that's something that Missoula put in place, and I love it. So essentially, the employee of the month gets a chance to spin the wheel that identifies what their item or gift will be, and then they've got kind of a storage of those items. So just makes it a little bit fun, makes it exciting for the employees. But again, if it's not already in existence, the plants will continue to create unique culture experiences to recognize people. And then lastly, we are working to consolidate our swag vendors. So where we order t-shirts or bags or hats. We've over the years kind of grown this list of vendors that we work with. So we are working to standardize and consolidate down to one partner, and then eventually start to standardize our milestone anniversary items. So for example, if it's your 3-year anniversary, here, are items to choose from, or, whatever that looks like, and so on and so forth. So just wanted to share that this is still at the forefront of our minds. We want to make sure our people feel appreciated and recognized. And if you ever have an interest in getting involved, let us know. Thanks so much. I think I'll pass it over next, to Brantley, right?
Hey everybody, thanks for joining today. I'm here to get you jazzed about the upcoming events. So let's take it over to look at the calendar here. Of course, in May, we celebrated the mothers. June, we're going to celebrate the fathers. So, happy day to those people parents, pet parents, and of course, the plant parents. So today we're joining everybody for the huddle. So let's take a look at what's coming up in the next couple months. So first, we've got Independence Day on July 4th. Madeline talked about our LinkedIn initiatives, which are, of course, due that first part of July. And then big thing too is Jacqueline had sent out an email regarding our mid-year performance discussions with your leaders. So let's continue to keep that ball rolling with growing in our development here with dailies. In July, we'll have our huddle, and then, crossing our fingers and looking forward to possibly that new handbook coming out, in the later part of the summer. In August, we're going to look forward to the next quarterly business update, and then celebrate another wrap up with the huddle. So we've got a lot of fun things happening too. So check in with your HR team and your local to look at any events that you guys got coming up and celebrating. And let's just get jazzed for dailies.
All right, perfect. Thank you, ladies. Just a reminder, we do still have the t-shirt design contest going on. The entries are due June 27th, so try to push us out and get your team members to submit some designs for a new t-shirt. And then our next slide, we still have the Summer Fun Challenge going on as well. These photos are due by September 14th, so just take a picture of you showing off your daily's pride while relaxing with the well-earned time off. And then you'll submit them to your HR manager. But best picture submitted wins a prize. So those are a couple of things that we have still going on. And then next we have our final thoughts. The final thoughts will be done by Joe.
Awesome. Thanks, Ashley. Well, it's hard to believe, team, that we're halfway through the year. I was looking at the calendar today and realized that we're 5 days away from July. And so I wanted to take some time, and thank you all for your hard work in the first half. I know there's been a lot of change in all of our plants, really. So thank you guys for you guys continuing to champion change. I thought what Adrian shared earlier was really good about that. We all can, when change comes, it's not always easy. So I appreciate you guys continuing to lean in. I'm really excited about the back half of the year. We're actually meeting with our food service sales team this afternoon to kind of go through their plan of attack. But we have a lot of good opportunities ahead of us. We have some recent wins. For those in the Kansas City area, know Minsky's Pizza. There's a pizza chain here that has bacon on their pizza that's fairly popular, that we won that business. And then Brahms is a fast food slash kind of mini mart that's in southern Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and into Texas. And so we start shipping there. But there's a lot of good opportunities coming behind that. And so, again, a lot of things to be excited about in the back half of this year. But most importantly, I just want to tell everyone on the call, thank you for your hard work. And let's continue to keep this solid momentum and finish 2025 well. So thank you all. That's all I had for today.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks to all the presenters for putting this huddle together and making it possible. And thank you everyone for attending today's meeting. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.